Today is the 13th of March, 2020. Hello there, Larry Richardson here. I have just watched the press conference of President Trump. I liked many of the things he said and have some reservations about some of the things he did not say, but that is for a different video. In this video, I want to discuss the general progression of COVID-19 in the United States from this point on. It does not matter at this time who, where, why, or how this virus was started. What matters is what we do as individuals and collectively as we go forward. Some of you are convinced that this is all a result of evil intent on the part of various villainous players, and therefore the important thing is to identify them, expose them, and if possible, destroy their ability to do things like this again. If there is traceable blame, the time for that game is later. As for me, my part is to keep my wife, who is 72 and has type 2 diabetes, as safe as I can and prevent her, as much as I can, from contracting the COVID-19 virus. We have made provisions to do just that. We are prepared to hunker down for months if necessary. Beyond the immediate situation of personal safety, I want to spend the time between now and the other side of this saga in making plans for how to best influence the rebuilding of our American society. The manner in which we react to current and future circumstances will determine the consequences of those actions. One consequence of our actions will be the speed at which this virus spreads. That speed will determine the amount of stress that will be placed on our healthcare system. After we encounter the consequences of our actions throughout this episode, we will experience the fallout of those consequences. By that, I mean there will undoubtedly be fewer of us around, and it is likely that there will be more than a few vacancies that will need to be filled in the ranks of our elected officials at all levels. This will probably be our first opportunity for some reset button action. It is the reset button phase that I would like to focus the majority of my efforts on for the duration of this saga. I want to build a coalition of citizens of my generation along with members of younger generations who agree with us. I want to be prepared to present a slate with people of common sense and a memory of our country when it was operating closer to the principles of our founders to fill those elected vacancies. We must put patriots who still remember the freedoms we once had and appreciate the freedoms guaranteed in the Constitution into positions to influence the legislation that will be needed to rebuild our society. Beyond the effort to get sensible people appointed or elected into the vacancies that will occur in our legislative bodies from the local to the federal level, we will need to have some specific goals and guidelines in mind for dealing with future legislative action on things like education, courts, healthcare, our monetary system, taxes, etc. These are the kinds of things we can be doing during the long days of quarantine that are just around the corner. I almost hope that I am wrong in my assessment that the next months will be life-changing, not only for us as individuals, but for our nation as a whole. The scarcity of products, the freedom to get out to purchase the products that may be available, the lack of freedom of movement to socialize with others, and many other aspects of our life will be drastically changed for weeks and probably months to come. These are the changes that just may open the door for resets. I was reluctant to bring this up, but I would be remiss if I did not. The predictions of the experts in the field of epidemiology and other health-related areas are that a range of between 40 and 80% of the population of the earth will contract this virus as it makes its sweep around the world. Remember, this is a brand new threat for mankind There is no natural immunity in the human population. If we work with the lower figure of 40% and consider the current best estimates that the eventual CFR, case fatality rate, will be between 1 to 3%, and take the lower 1% estimate, that will bring the following likely numbers into play. There are 7,700,000,000 people on Earth. 40% of that is 3,080,000,000 people who will most likely be infected this first go-around. Apply the 1% case fatality rate to those people, and we are looking at 30,080,000 deaths around the world. Heaven help us if the higher estimates of the experts end up being the most valid ones. If you watch this video to this point, there's a good chance that you may be one of the vital persons needed to help ensure our reset opportunities will work out for the best. Here is my email address. Please contact me and I will try to connect you with other patriots near you so you can begin working on this now. Thankfully, it is likely that we will still have the internet and our computers to use during this time, so we can get things done without having to make personal contact. I thank you for your attention. Have a great day and be blessed.